Proper story is supposed to start at the beginning. Ain't so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world got all twisted, leaving him stranded on a rock in the sky. He gets up, sets off for the Bastion, where everyone agreed to go in case of trouble. Ground forms up under his feet as if pointing the way. He don't stop to wonder why. Finds his lifelong friend just lying in the road. Well, it's a touching reunion. He sees what's left of the rippling walls, years of work undone in an instant, in the calamity. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a gas fella, forced out from underground. Kid pops him good. Fella got a piece of him, though. An old repeater falls out of the sky. Ain't a gift from the gods, but it'll have to do. Gotta hold her still and spin up the chamber. Kid's worked up quite a thirst by now, so that fountain looks real inviting. Sometimes you just need a drink. A school of squirts tunnels up around him. Must have fled here from the mines. Kid finds a memento from a girl he knew. Always used to fancy her. It's a wonder the old saloon's still standing. Used to have the nicest view. He sets foot inside one of Celandia's famous watering holes. Inside's old Rondi, the bartender. The calamity got him before his drinking did. Rondi always wanted his ashes scattered here. Then Kid finds his trusty shield. But just as he's getting a handle on it, the security takes him for a petty thief. Clang! Shield saves his hide. Windbags start turning up for last call. More squirts start coming out of the woodwork. A big old fella pops out in front of the kid. Kid sees the way to the Bastion out the window. It's a bit of a drop. He gets a good look at things on his way down. He lands on top of a breaker's bow, and it ain't broke. Kid spies a good perch for some target practice. He knows he should draw the string all the way back. Good news is the emergency defenses still work. Bad news is they're aiming for the kid. Picks up a few pointers from a dusty old tome. finds the distillery, right next to the arsenal. Tough part of town. The arsenal's where the kid can pick the best tools for the job. One sip of the spirits in that distillery, and the kid'll feel like a new man. Some of them squirts birthing like crazy in a couple of corn bins. Ferry barge sends the kid on his way. The Bastion's real close now. Wasn't long before the kid could loose an arrow, strong and true. Kid takes a chunk of alloy. Smell of barley and spoiled blueberries fills the air. Scumbags. Kid maybe shouldn't have done what he just did. Drops a scumbag of his last name. Puts him out of his misery. He finds the core to the wharf district. He steals the city's heart. Might as well. Kid has a feeling you better get a move on. The place is starting to fall. Kid just keeps running. Somersaulting like crazy. At last, the skyway's in sight. Whisks him where he needs to go. Now the kid sees something stranger still. His mind races. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds another. He finds me. We talk for a spell. There's a bit of the Bastion's power in that crest, enough to point the way to the cores. All I tell him is to set that core of his on the monument there, then watch. And just like that, the Bastion comes alive. Starts growing again, growing stronger. Kid's gotta put its power to good use. Now the Bastion can send him even farther into the wild unknown. Kid ponders what to build. The Bastion's a place of peace, but we can hold our own if we have to. Ain't much Kid can't handle with hammer and bow in hand. Kid don't know what's out there waiting for him. The Skyway. Now the kid can ride the wind to distant lands. Now he lands at the intersection between bad and wrong. Ought to be a core down one of these twisted streets. But which one? He heads for the squirt steps. Won't be no field trip this time. Kid ain't ever seen an elephant squirt before. Hopes he'll never see one again. They say even the most rambunctious squirts can be tamed. No No sign of the core here. At least the kid got something for his trouble. Scumbag can digest just about anything. Except for this. It's quick for slicing and light enough to throw. Them squirts just don't know when to quit. Up north is where the gas fella foreman used to live, tending to his flock. No white gas fellas all dress alike. Kids wondering the same thing. And there it is, but it's locked down tight in an alloy cage. The blustery old foreman is keeping his fellas in check, almost like he's showboating for the crowd. And now there's a new marshal in town. He hears the whole place groan, but it's too tough to fall. Might as well check the other side streets before leaving this hole. He heads for the biggest dump in town, Scumbag Alley. There he is, the oldest scumbag of them all, Gershel. The calamity ain't done much for Gershel's sunny disposition. Kid cuts up Gershel like a fine apple. Old scumbag didn't feel a thing. He heads for the east side, where windbags used to keep the local forge. Somehow that old forge is still standing. Inside the forge, Kid can fine-tune those instruments of his. Kid's lifelong friends looking fit to keep on fighting. Kid's ready to go, and his ticket out's right where he started. He comes back, just like I knew he would. The core hums in his pack. The monument's calling for it. The windbags used to be alright, then the calamity took the floor out from under him. There's a bit of the Bastion's power in that crest, enough to point the way to the cores. I tried to let the kid down gently. This is the Bastion, alright, except no one else showed up. Kid does it again. Only fair he decides what we build next. Makes time to sample spirits from my personal supply. Hearty punch is so zesty, it'll let you carry on through the worst of times. Picked up traces of other cores while the kid was out. In better days, the melting pot was sealed tighter than the skin on a squirt. Of all the plans to survive the calamity, it had to be stab weeds. Blasted things hurt like a broken heart. If there's a core, he figures it ought to be deeper down. Core's stuck inside one of those fancy cages. Some of the stuff lying around is downright dangerous. He throws a switch. Now what could possibly go wrong? Quite a bit, as it turns out. The cage starts lifting from the core ever so slow. All Kid can do is wait. Shipments start falling in. Not every squirt's born bad. Some spring to the kid's defense. Judging by the movement of the cage, it's gonna take a little while. Scumbags don't take kindly to interlopers. Even some gas fellas take his corner. Birdie popped that mean old foreman. At this rate, maybe 5 more minutes, maybe 30, hard to tell. Squirts get real territorial around the core. Then a shipment of free samples shows up. One thing's for sure, that cage is awful heavy. A few moments left, and the core goes free. 10, 9, 8, 7, give or take a few seconds. Finally, the core's within reach. And done. He's got it. Just gotta get to the nearest barge. I still remember the look on his face after that one. The old world's finished, but the new world's just getting started. Folks voyaged across the boundless sea to found Celandia. It was good living here for a while. A lot of things need fixing up in this world, and we can start right here. Couples used to walk the sundown path. Kid ain't here for pleasure, though. But then, somebody gets to the core before the kid. The floor starts giving way under the lightest step. The single panic squirt could bring the whole place down. Fragments of the old world raining from the sky. Well, the path ain't exactly open to visitors no more. Security's all fired up. See, the path was intended for leisurely strolling and such. Sky bridges link the path together. One of them bridges whips the kid along. The calamity changed everything, even where the wind blows. Well, if we mastered the winds in the old days, we could do it again. But the question is, who else could have taken the core? Well, ain't no survivor stole the thing. Scumbag ate it by mistake. Tough break. Unlike the kid, that core ain't coming back. No, they used to ship live munitions down the path. Find time to find them. It's wise to toss those things plenty far away. Even gas fellas need some shut-eye from time to time. They get real cranky when you wake them up. In all this toil, Kid keeps coming back to an overwhelming question. Who else could have survived the calamity? So we didn't find a core that time, but that ain't about to stop us. We could always see the stars, we just never could reach them, no matter how high we built. The dead welcome him with open arms. The calamity took everybody after all. Kid sees it plain, frozen faces all around. These folks never saw the calamity coming, but someone did. Someone close. It was someone like him. Kid sees him there agape, in the flesh. It's a snag or two trying to get to him. He ain't about to stop, no matter what. He's got so many questions after all. Just ain't got time for answers. The Thunder Brothers didn't make it. They never saw what it was like beyond the walls. Nor did the Bird Boy. Didn't make it. The Jawsons, they didn't make it. Grady Sr., Grady Jr., they didn't make it. But him, he survived. Kid finds proof enough that man ain't from around here. Just think, without that man, we wouldn't be here right now, would we? And then, what do you say to a man who's seen too much? Kid hasn't a clue, but he says this: we have to go. Please. He's a proper gentleman, that man. His name is Zulf. No hiding he's an Ura. Folks like him ain't never been a common sight in Caelondia. He's relieved to see a living face or two. The kid and I introduce ourselves in kind. Both to him and to each other. For the first time. For Zulf, Caelondia was like a second home. He's real worried about his first home, too. Far to the east. We all lost loved ones in the calamity, he says. I don't know how I'm gonna go on without mine. Zulf offers to help me plot the skyways for the kid. At least the calamity hasn't touched the stars, he says. He was born in the Tazzle terminals. The Ura sent him on a mission of peace to our city, and he's lived here ever since. We fought the Ura decades ago, but that was then. Things are different between us now. The cores, they remember. That's why this place is coming together. That's why things are gonna be alright. Well, look what we have here. The lost and found. Here, kid takes fragments of the old world and makes them whole again. All it takes is some fragments, and the Bastion makes it good as new. We tracked down a couple more cores near the edge of the city. No use praying to the gods these days. No time for it either. Kid says a little prayer anyway. Couldn't hurt, right? Folks used to make pilgrimage here to pay their respects to Pith, the bull. Well, the gods are long gone now. And the Orchard Core is long gone too. The gods don't care about trinkets, but the kid ain't no god. Pith stood for something once. Something real. In time, though, the bull stopped being a symbol and started being decoration. Pith makes a decent scarecrow, at least. Then Pith lights up like a rodeo. Kid breaks him to bits. Must have been guarding that shrine. So what'll it be? Invoke the gods? Or tell them off? Pith. Kid decides to press his luck. Well, if the gods are alive, they must be plenty sore. Kid ain't never seen windbags that quick. Maybe old Pith put a scare in him. Pith's trial, and he's richer for it. Kid ain't found a core, but at least he found Zolf's precious shrine. Now we can build a shrine of our own, though I got some alternatives in mind. Zolf doesn't touch the thing. Says the god of commotion is no children's toy. The Ura feared the gods. We turned them into toys, put their faces on our walls. There's only one way to send a brick forth. The hard way. Sure, the city marshals may be gone, but now the fort's crawling with windbags. The calamity was mercy, won't it, folks? The windbags ain't so lucky. At least the marshals left the kid a parting gift. Something the windbags just can't handle. Something that'll punch clean through their greasy hides. Windbags ain't much different from normal folks. All they want's a warm place to stay and a decent meal. The calamity drove the windbags topside. A lot of them wound up here in this very fort. Could have been minding the business underground like in the old days. Windbags can't use the marshal supplies, but the kid sure can. He stashes the marshal's prize. Goes back to something more his style. Cinder Brick gave him enough heat and metal to munch on for a while. Well, the fort ain't theirs by right. Can't blame them for wanting it, though. So many of those sorry things holed up inside that old fort? Stash of grenades is there for him if things get even worse. Security's plane gone haywire. Windbags gummed up the works. Kid ain't afraid of getting burned. They trapped the kid in the middle of the force parade grounds. Bring out Glutus and Glandon and all their scumbag uncles. They got something to gain, and only their sorry hides to lose. Kid takes down Glutus, or maybe it was Glandon. The other big fella soon joins his brother, wherever they are now. Finally get the message. Kid used to dream of getting a marshal's badge, but not like this. And now ain't nothing left for nobody down at Cinderbrick Fort. Kid shows up just as Zolf's telling me about his own journey to the city. Seems the only thing the Calamity saved for Zolf was his smoking pipe. The marshal seemed like good men, he says. They treated him with dignity. Zolf brought his antique smoking pipe all the way from the terminals. Poor kid collapses after just one drag. The past. Only good thing ever come out of the past is history. Catches up with the kid. Hardly had a moment's rest since all this started. Fair to say he's led a hard life, supposing what he says in his sleep ain't no lie. He never knew his old man, but he had his mama to take care of. Frail thing with pure white hair like his. Mama's hair did the kid no favors while he was growing up, but he learned to hold his own out there. School ain't working out, so the kid signs up for a turn on the rippling walls. Make his mama some money. Thanks to folks like the kid, the walls kept Zealandia safe from whatever's out there. The elements, the Ura, you name it. Once the kid done his time, he hurried on home. Turns out his mama's time was done too. The city had nothing for him. The money he'd been sending home was nowhere to be found either. So what'd the kid do? Why, he went right on back to the walls for another 5 years. In the history of Zealandia, nobody's ever volunteered for a second shift on the walls. Out there, kid learned to fend for himself. Learn to build, learn to break. In time, the kid earned good standing with the marshals. They trusted him to scout out farther than anybody. One night, on one of his expeditions, the ground beneath him shuddered, cracked, and split apart. He saw nothing where the world used to be. The calamity happened just like that. All the kid had to work with was his hammer and the clothes on his back. Through twisted streets, he ran with nothing but the city crest and an old stranger's voice to guide him. Finally arrived at Zealandia's vaunted safe haven. He and no one else. But then, all he got was more thankless work from a man who ain't even asked his name. Sure, I may be the one who dreamt up the walls and the Bastion, but the kid made them real, not me. I'd like to say I'll never forget him, or what he's doing, what he's done. I surely would. Even since the Ura surrendered to us, the marshals kept a wary eye on him. Zolf's travels ain't much compared to what the kids had to go through for all this. The memorial. Here a kid can pay respect to the old world and earn it in kind. The valediction. Just another one of my sketches. Nothing more. The Langston River flowed free and wild till the calamity drank it all up. Maybe all that water just grew wings and flew off. Riverbanks swarming with windbags. They're so bent on finding the core they hardly notice the kid. Lucky for him, a certain famous ferry barge is still afloat. Weepin' Nellie. She'll send some squirts crying home as she leaves port. Maybe Nellie knows the way to the core. Maybe she can slip right past all the clamor on the coast. Or maybe not. The security skiff pulls up portside. Nellie's just another windbag to those guns. Just then, the windbags notice who she's sailing with. They try to cut her off. They try to slow her down. They try to knock her out. Nellie tries harder. Try as she might, though, she hits a snag. Kid's gotta help her get untangled. Favors for favors. She picked a good spot for a break, cause the core's right there. Then the kid hears an unusual sound, like 100 flapping wings. Peckers. They've been watching his every move. They had their own eyes on the core, but why? Well, kid ain't got time to think it over just yet. He finds weeping Nellie raring to go. Turns out she's got a special surprise for when the waters get rough. She's gonna need a little help with all them peckers. Crafty things think they're king of the roost now. The rest of us only wish we could fly in times like these. Security skiffs keep on coming starboard side. Don't seem to care what they shoot as long as they hit something. Windbags getting even better out here. They aim to smash weeping Nellie to splinters. Well, it all proves too much for poor Nellie. She's just gotta make one last stop. With her last breath, Nellie gets the kid to solid ground. Solid ground in pecker country. They want that core real bad. Might be they want it just as bad as a kid. Kid shoos them off, knowing they'll be back. Know how many times kid nearly fell off the barge back there? Not even once. Now, listen close. You should remember this next part. Why go to Prosper Bluff? Used to take an enterprising man or a plain old fool to venture out that far. The city was the most beautiful place in the world. We all knew that. But on the other hand, some folks just yearn to see the things they're told they can't. And that's why you go to Prosper Bluff, ain't it? There the kid hears something he ain't heard in a long while. How's it go again? That's the one. Well, no point explaining what happens next, right? Suffice it to say, kid ain't coming home empty-handed. And besides, it's like the song goes.
So build that wall and build it strong, 'cause we'll be there before too long.
They'll be here before too long. We darn near celebrated when the kid got back, didn't we? Zolf never thought he'd see a fellow Ura again. We become fast friends. Calamity has that effect on people. But there was more to be done. There was one last core to find. A scientific journal written in Zolf's native tongue. He learned so much from it. Too much. If only I'd known half the secrets of the Calamity were tucked away in that book, I'd have worked to translate it right away. So many secrets in there and she can't even read it. Her father's own journal. Most of the Ura never got a taste of Caelondia's fine goods, unless they were born and raised in the city like Ziya here. Sure, the world's all gone to pieces farther than the eye can see, but leave it to this gal to point out the amazing view. Girl tried to run away from home one time, but the marshals stopped that, didn't they? Kid's surprised when I tell him there's only one core left. I shouldn't have believed it either. We tracked the final core beyond the city to the wilds. The wild unknown. Place can eat a man alive. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. You know what's better than having a slinger pistol in a fight? Having two. Kid's faster than a slinger with those guns. Pin cushions ain't the worst of it either. Pecker's got the core, like they built the Bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon. By now, kid's got more needles in him than a stab weed. They shouldn't have let their guard down. Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight. Wallflowers survived the Calamity. It toughened him up. Same goes for the kid. Best take it real slow when pincushions are afoot. Slinger Johnson's old outpost is all that's left of him. Kid sticks to his old standbys. A handful of windbag shipments made it out this far. Kid's seen the last of them. Don't ever turn your back on the pincushion. Then kid gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. And lunkheads ain't fond of two-legged animals. Hit him anywhere but the hindquarters and you only make him mad. Calamity must have scrambled their eggs. Hardly any signs of the old Bastion camp. The Wild's already reclaimed this place. He's anxious to get back. After all, he's got the final core. His journey's over, right? Well, no, it ain't. Not by a long shot. Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The Calamity failed, he says, but I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here, alone. Zolf cursed the city, cursed the Bastion, cursed me, said he was going home. When Zolf got through reading that journal, he just snapped. Started smashing up the monument till I tried to stop him. Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards. We're gonna need all of them to nurse the Bastion back to health. The city brought the shards to the Wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring them back. After Zolf's little episode, Kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the core's medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good for all I know. Wherever he is, somewhere I've never been, somewhere I never want to go. Dead welcome him with open arms. Kid pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zolf, Aligura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive? Peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, vine apples, swamp weeds, ankle gators. Now the Bastion can send them even farther into the wild unknown. kid sets foot inside one of Ceylondia's famous watering holes. The security's just ran straight through. Succeeds where the calamity failed. Would you look at what he did to poor old Ronde the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls, years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Pith, the bull. The gods, they're all undone. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend. His friend, he's come undone too. He sees what's left undone. Thought we'd lost him, but he finally comes to. The shard ain't lost either, not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Bootlickers dig their nasty thorns into his heels. Ever heard of a lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. Scumbags sprung a leak. They say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind. Well, a kid prunes it down to size somehow. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan. Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rothus Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. All kinds of beasts what don't know up from down, still lurking about. Even the brushers learned to fear this place. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. Know what smells worse than an ankle gator's breath? A stinkweed. Can't fight Queen Anne without the proper tools. Rushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here. Now the kid can do the same. Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit. Those pincushions been living off the ankle gator scraps. Queen Anne can't fit down some of these narrow paths. Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap. One bad step in that tall grass and it's Queen Anne's lunch. He holds his ground. Seems the Queen's running out of options. Still no sign of the shard. The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. Kid's gotta make a run for it. That old gator's right on his tail. Those leaping lunkheads don't like Queen Anne any better than the kid. Queenie must have scared a bunch of peckers out of hiding. Ankle gators don't much care for their young. That's why there ain't many around. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? You use a kid as bait. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. The shard's sitting in plain view. They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep running. And now he's made her mad. Rest in peace, Queen Anne. That was for the brushers. Kid's done what needed to be done. Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel. All that trouble for a single shard. But you know what? It was worth it. That gator's a crazy gal, but so is the gal who promised to look after her. They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. The next shard should be farther out there in the wilds. Know how Caelandia became the richest city in the world? 2 words. Point Lemaine. If the wilds could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. The army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. might as well pick up where they left off. Blam! Just like my fighting days. Gun like that can even put the wilds in check. Point Lemaine seen better days for sure, but it ain't done. Whole place shudders in a fit. The grand rail of Point Lemaine. Not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks. Grand rails all grown over with things of calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid don't let so much as one of those things slip by. Takes fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers and coughing fungus everywhere. Right here that Zolf's forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad. The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for him. All the rotten wood there on the rails turned it into swamp weed central. Swamp weed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower or pincushion, mind you. At first he thinks it's Zolf. Turns out he's wrong. This is for you, says the man. Then wham! When the kid comes to, the man's long gone, but something else is there. The only words the kid recognizes on that parchment are for Ziya. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get. The note says it plain. Ziya, go east to learn the truth about the calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely, Zolf. Zolf's messenger was one of his people. Wondered just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zolf told him. Kid don't always care for fancy guns and things. A bow and pike will do just fine. Kid arrives just in time to sample Ziya's famous cooking. He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head. I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this. What's he thinking? Now, let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Ceylania. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Ura refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. Mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Her father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Her father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the mancers. It's for your own good, he said. Took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. Convinced her to take him to her family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. But the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls. The young man had sent the authorities a tip, told him her father was using her to sell secrets to the Tassel terminals. She and her father were arrested for treason, but her father got a deal. Returned to work for the Mansers, and she'd go free. Before they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in. Inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand.
I dig my hole, you build a wall.
The next day, the door to the den turned to ash. The girl came up for air, and she saw the calamity all around her. When the kid wakes up, his world's still in pieces, just the way he left it. The shards are getting harder to find. Not everything blew up in the calamity. Why, Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Culford Cauldron. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. But we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. The unforgiving scent of sulphurous dirt. The taste of air so hot it sticks to your lungs. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. Place as inhospitable as they come. Still, we pressed on. After all, when we look down inside Culford Cauldron, look down through all the smoke and flames, we saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Jocelyn Bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Well, it ain't polite to stare. And where there's one stink eye, there's always more. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. The kid don't shed any tears for him, though. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zand. Can't rightly call Mount Zand a mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. Good thing for those beasts the calamity saved leftovers. We only found that little layer because they found themselves a little shard. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. Besides, we have to take back what's ours. Even if the beasts of the wilds won't like it. Look at it this way. It's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our bastion is everybody's game, not just ours. Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have. Maybe they've thought about turning back, just like we have. We just really need their shard. Kid got it fair and square. That's the way. He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll all be better off once the Bastion is complete. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. Just a couple shards left. The quarry's gotta have one, right? Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Zealandia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes burstone quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry was to soften the blow from the calamity. We bought the whole place from the Ura on the cheap. Same goes for its natives. Rattletails. Why would the Ura put up with those pests? The quarry came with a lifetime supply of windbags. Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nested in those rocks. Not only are these rocks a source of life, we found that the oldest ones remember things. They're recording everything, all the time, taking it all in. No wonder all those beasts were drawn to the quarry. The rocks were calling them. Keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. Rattletails kept tunneling in and snacking on windbags. Even the stink eyes started taking root here. Now, why would the Ura sell off such a fascinating place? The Ura always were a superstitious lot. Might be the gods told them the quarry's bad news. In any case, it's fair to say the quarry was a godsend. Those rocks, all polished to a mirror sheen. The largest ones, you know as cores. A single core could keep the lights on in an entire city district. The smaller ones, we call them shards. The shards got a fraction of a core's power, enough to fuel a voyage to the motherland. Well, now the quarry's all dried up. These rocks are much too young to be of use. Remember how I said rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? That honor goes to a beast we took to Colin, Sir Lunky. Massive things stomped many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. The only thing harder than the rocks first in the quarry is Sir Lunky's head. His big fat rum's plenty tough too. So is the kid. You never could get stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. "Are you all right?" it says. "It's him. I've come to warn you," he says. "The Bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back." Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. "If that's the way it is," he says, "then I won't stop you." Because my countrymen will. Say what you will about Zulf, but he's a man of his word. His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. Zulf showed him the way here, and here they came to take revenge. They got inside the Bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. I should have told him sooner about all this. See, the Bastion's no mere safe haven. Big surprise, right? Unfortunately, they broke in, and they started digging their hole. Something wrong was sprung out of those holes, and it's eating away at this place. We tried to stop them, but we needed help. Somehow, some way, he sends those Ura packing. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zulf's plan worked. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back. for the Calamity. It was Caelondia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zulf knew the whole story. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. The Ura swooped down from the east. At least now we know the way. One last shard. It's all we need to put this mess behind us. And mother, what a mess it is. A mess like that could have only been made by hand. Zulf said the Calamity failed, and he's right. The Ura stand as living proof of that. At the heart of the Calamity was a simple idea. We never wanted to go to war again. We wanted to rule it out. We put a lot of folks against that problem. Scientists, soldiers, spies, even me. We sought solutions far beyond the city. We traveled near as far as the kids go right now. Most of our efforts didn't bear fruit. Then there was a breakthrough, but it didn't come from one of our people. It came from an Ura, a brilliant young scientist named Ven. Ven worked for the Mancers, the sharpest knives in the city's drawer. With his help, the Mancers devised a way to seal the Ura tunnels shut in a flash. Just like that, every last Ura living in the Tassel terminals will be gone. This discovery was never to be used, they said, except as a last resort. But Ven didn't like being manipulated. He had plans of his own. He sabotaged the Mancers' little science project, set it to blow up in their faces. Imagine how Ven must have felt when they finally made him pull that trigger. But remember, the Bastion can fix everything. We just need that shard. Too bad the Ura ain't exactly been willing to collaborate on that front. For now, the kid had little choice but to pick up where the Calamity left off. First things first, though, There's someone we figured needed rescuing. Ziya. The Ura fell back, no doubt planning the next move, but we knew ours already. There's something we had to do before going after that last shard. Well, now it's personal, ain't it? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. He gets straight down to business. They never saw him coming. He gets his hands on the care package I sent him. The Ura found a way to keep the calamity from spreading through Sultan's Hollow. Kid has to put a damper on their plans. They got their own security and everything. Pretty fancy. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together. We break enough of those things and the calamity rocks slink back into the ground. Those rocks are like tumors, the same kind that are planted in the Bastion. Well, the Ura must be in a panic right about now. They even sick their little rattletail heads on the kid. Those rodents are just a bump in the road. Every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. Most of the Ura's conductors are squared away in the middle of the hollow. They're easy targets. Those calamity rocks must be eating that place apart from the inside. Keep hanging on to that barricade. After all, their homeland's not much farther. Some of them are downright bewildered by what's happening. Maybe they know they've lost this, lost to a kid. They underestimate us. And it's playing go wrong. Yes, our people caused the calamity, but here we are trying to fix it. Shame the opportunity for civilized discourse is over. Did the Ura really think we just turn around and walk away? Suppose old Zolf should have got to know us better. Maybe I should have trusted him. Told him everything I knew. They have every reason to be angry. Beyond angry. But when this is all over, it'll all be water under the bridge. As the hour grows desperate, the Earth bring out their big guns. There's nothing standing in his way no more. He sees the Tazzle terminals loom large on the horizon. Way out there on the edge of the world, that's where he finally finds you. But it ain't like Prosper Bluff this time. Ain't nothing for this gal to sing about now. Ziya, you weren't kidnapped. No, ma'am. You just had to see what happened to the Ura. To your own people. You had to see if everything Zulf wrote to you was true. They lost everything, didn't they? But they just keep on fighting like that's gonna bring it all back. I don't need to see what happened to the Ura. I'm trying to undo it, remember? Once the kid gets that last shard from Zulf, it'll all be over. I can't hear him at all anymore. He's too far away. But he'll be all right. The calamity hit the Tazzle terminals hardest of all. You know why Zulf went back there. The place was his home. All his old friends and family were there. Taken by the calamity. Zulf must be there all alone, just waiting. You know what's funny? Well, Zulf's waiting. All of us are waiting for a kid. Look around. There's not much left to do here in the Bastion, I'm afraid. So why not tell each other stories to pass the time, right? But Ziya, there's another reason I've been telling you all this. When the kid brings back that shard, the Bastion will be complete. This disease the Earth planted here will go dissolve will no longer matter. Zealandia will be whole again. Everything will be back to normal. Everyone will be all right. Problem is, we'll all be gone. Oh, we're not gonna die. It's more like all of this will just stop. Things will go back to the way they used to be. That's the power of the Bastion. This whole place is a living record of the times before the calamity. The way things were before this story. You'll be your old self again. Think of all those times that didn't go your way. Setbacks. Imagine if you could have another go at them. No mistakes. Anyone you've ever heard. Everything you've ever done, you could do it over. And wouldn't that be grand? Wouldn't you agree? Well, I guess there's nothing more to say. Marasim. Who am I kidding? There's something else. A confession. How come I know so much about the Bastion? Well, I designed the place. But that's beside the point. There's one problem with a place that sets things back to a bygone time. You can't test it. So you're probably wondering, if the calamity happened already, what's to stop it from happening again after the Bastion does its thing? The answer is... I don't know. You're wondering if there ain't some other way out of this mess. It's alright. I can tell. But why would you even want another way? Unless you wanted to stay here with us. It's sweet and all, but I don't know if I can stick around. The weight of the calamity, it's on our shoulders. We can't just let it go. Bastion does have another function, strictly speaking. If ever the monument blew out and we couldn't repair it, we could still evacuate. First, we'd round up as many folks as we could carry. Next, we'd detonate the cores, and we'd take off away from here. Of course, that would mean no going back. Ever. But then again, that way all of us could leave the city. Together. You know Zolf and his countrymen won't be giving up that shard without a fight, don't you? Zolf and the Ura, all they want now is to see the Bastion fall. Zolf dedicated his life to a lasting peace between the Ura and Zealandia.
Let me go.
He can't have imagined the city would try to wipe the Ura out. Zolf ain't lost every shred of decency though, has he? He tried to warn you about his plans. He tried to warn the kid. For Zolf, this ain't a personal matter. It ain't a simple matter of pride either. One thing's for sure, the Ura can't be happy that the kid followed Zolf all the way home. I can see it now. The kid in one corner, and Zolf in the other. Ain't much of a fight. Don't you worry, though. Once the Bastion's restored, it'll all be alright. You ain't still thinking about that whole leaving the city thing, are ya?
I set my sail, fly, the wind it will take me back to my home, sweet home. Lie on my back, clouds are making way for me. I'm coming home, sweet home. see your star. You left it burning for me. Mother, I'm here. Eyes open wide. Feel your heart in
Kid's
its
probably dealt with Zolf by now.
I'm welcome home.
He reminds me of myself when I was his age. I ever tell you about those days? Hey, kid. Get up, kid. Come on, that ain't funny. I say get up. That's more like it. Now, set that shard into the monument there. Then we'll talk. The Bastion. It's finally finished. Now, there's something I want you to see. Welcome to the heart of the Bastion. I ain't one for long goodbyes, so here's the deal. Ziya and I figure you done the heavy lifting, so you get to do the honors. We can tell you how to work this thing if you got any questions.
We made it. So, let's see. You can either prevent the calamity, or stick around with me and Rex. I'd hate to be in your shoes. If I could be any place I wanted, I'd stay right here. We could go anywhere in the world. Zolf tried to talk me into joining him. I tried to talk him out of it. I guess we both failed. When I finally found my people, I told them we could help. They just took me for a traitor. Glad you showed up.
Hey, kid. You can undo the calamity here and now. Go on, kid. And before I forget, thank you. Always wondered what the motherland was like. Not that it matters anymore. Zolf only brought more ruin to the Ura. No wonder they didn't take kindly to him. You've got one thing left to do, so you hang on to that badge. Besides, you earned it. Here I figured you'd had enough of me by now. You could have undone the calamity itself, but instead you want to stay in a world like this. I gotta admit, kid, I ain't yet put much thought in that idea of carrying on with you here. Can't go back no more, but I suppose we could go wherever we please. And if anyone's left out there, I sure would like to see the look in their faces when we dock this thing right on that doorstep. Getting ahead of myself, though. I'm gonna need a first mate. What do you say?